As a minimalist, I love living in a simple, calm, and clutter-free home, but let's face it, decluttering is not always easy. It is very time-consuming, it gets messy, and after a while we just get decision fatigue because we have to decide again and again which items we want to keep or get rid of, and if we do decide to get rid of them, how do we actually do that? Do we sell it? Do we donate it? How can we recycle something in a responsible way? So all in all, decluttering can be challenging, but after having done a number of decluttering rounds myself and getting rid of around 60% of my stuff, I have learned a thing or two that really helps to make the decluttering process easier and faster. So in today's video, I'm sharing 10 decluttering techniques to declutter better and faster to help you make better decisions more quickly and declutter like a pro. Before we begin, I quickly want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video and being a long-term supporter of the channel. Skillshare is an online platform where you can take classes on basically anything from hobbies like cooking or gardening, crafting, making your own clothing, to career-focused classes like starting an online business or coding. They even have classes on decluttering and digital decluttering. So for years now, whenever there was something I wanted to learn, Skillshare always had helpful classes for me about learning how to use my camera or how to build my website, how to start making digital illustrations. I've also learned about plant care, journaling, self-care, and just so much more. I just really like how Skillshare makes learning something new so much more accessible and affordable, because oftentimes we're thinking of maybe something that we would like to learn, but it is just such a big step to look up a class somewhere and we actually never end up doing it. But with Skillshare, it's so easy to make it happen. So instead of continually thinking like, oh, I would like to try painting watercolors one day, you could watch one of their many classes on it, like the one from Jenny Flores called Watercolor for Beginners, 5 easy to paint spring flowers. She will tell you exactly which supplies you need, and by the end of the class, you will have painted cherry blossoms, forget-me-nots, and more. The first 500 people to click my link in the description box can get a 1-month free trial, so you can watch as many classes as you like for free to see how you like it. That's a good deal in my opinion. So huge thank you to Skillshare, and let's begin with the video. So the first step that I would always recommend is to start with getting rid of trash. So by trash, I mean actual trash, things that belong in the trash, but I also mean like the low-hanging fruit, the items that you already know you want to declutter. And there are many reasons why I suggest doing it like this. The first is that it is just such a great way to gain momentum and motivation. It is so encouraging because it is relatively easy, but you're already seeing huge results, and that really motivates you to keep going. Second is that you don't really have to think about it too much. So when it comes to these items, you're already sure that these belong either in the trash, or they're just things that you already easily know you want to get rid of, like socks with holes in them, or items that you really don't like anymore and you've kind of been, getting bothered by them for a while. It is just so nice to get rid of all of these things without really having to think about it because you've already thought about it, or it's clearly like trash or broken. And the third reason why I think this is so amazing is that it helps to make decluttering a lot less messy. So when it comes to decluttering, there are several ways of doing it, and I always suggest taking everything out. Now, this is important to keep in mind. I don't mean everything you own, because then your house is going to explode. But let's say you are decluttering your wardrobe, or not even fully your wardrobe, but let's say you're decluttering dresses. You have a lot of different dresses and you want to kind of see which ones you want to keep and which ones you don't want to keep. Then I would always recommend getting out all of your dresses and putting them in a big pile somewhere, probably on the bed or something. And the reason that I suggest this is that it helps you to see how much you actually own. Usually when we take things out, it becomes a lot more, and we're kind of shocked by how many things we have of a certain category, and that helps us to make better decisions because you can see the overall starting point. For example, maybe you can see that if you pull out all your dresses, you put them on a big pile, that like 2/3 of them are a certain style, like a certain color or a certain fabric, and you're like, oh yeah, I really have a lot of those, so maybe I want to try and be intentional there. It just really helps it if you know exactly how many you have, because this gives you kind of like a reference to how many you would like to declutter or how many you would like to keep. But the downside of taking everything out is that things get messy and this can kind of feel a little overwhelming. So if you always remove the trash and the easy things first before you take out the rest, that already helps with the mess because it decreases the amount of things that you have to take out. So in this case, with the dresses, maybe there are already 1 or 2 in there that you have been thinking about for a while and you already know you want to declutter. You can take those out first. You don't have to put them onto the big pile with the rest. Maybe there are some dresses that you really don't fit anymore, or that are just like you've worn so much that they're not in good condition anymore. Things like that are easily removable, and then you can take out the rest and deal with it. It's just a way to make the big pile a little bit less big. Plus it's just super, super motivating, and it's always one of my favorite parts of decluttering. Number 2 is a little rule that you can have for yourself that really helps move the decluttering process along and speed it up a little, is that if guilt is the only reason that you have for holding on to an item, then you have to get rid of it. So many people face feelings of guilt when decluttering, and I have experienced that myself so often too. And it can be for different reasons. Maybe we feel bad because we've spent a lot of money on something. Maybe we feel bad because it was a gift, or because it used to belong to someone who passed away, or because it is a stuffed animal and it has a face and it breaks your heart to let something go, which is what I experienced a lot. There can be so many reasons for feeling guilty about decluttering something. And I'm not saying that these reasons are not important at all. What I'm saying is, if the only thing that you don't want to declutter something is that you would feel guilty to do it, that's not enough. There needs to be at least one more reason for you to hold on to something. So there needs to be at least one more reason, like, I use this a lot, or I feel like it could come in handy in this occasion. Like, be realistic there, please. I want to give this to someone else one day. Like, there needs to be at least something else that is a benefit of holding on to it. And when there is not, and you feel guilty, try getting in the right headspace. Try reminding yourself why you are doing this in the first place. Why are you motivated to declutter your space, declutter your home, or have fewer things in your possessions? What is a way that decluttering will make you a happier, calmer person in your own home? Try to keep that in mind as you go through these guilty feelings, and remind yourself of them when you need it. And I would also like to add one thing, is that it is very common, and I see this in my comment sections all the time, to feel guilty about decluttering something because you don't want that thing to contribute to waste or environmental waste, which I totally understand, and that is very difficult to deal with. So I do want to acknowledge that. But again, if that is the only reason that you're holding on to something, it just doesn't make sense, because you know what? Everything will be discarded somewhere by someone sometime. So you keeping that item in your home all this time because you don't want it to contribute to waste is not really changing anything, because someone will discard that item sometime, even if you keep it all your life. So the only thing that will change is that it will have made you miserable in the meantime. And that is kind of a tough realization to have, but it is the reality. So try to use that feeling of guilt for not wanting to contribute to more environmental waste, and instead turn that into something positive, by which I mean try to keep that in mind the next time you buy something, because decluttering one thing will have like the impact of that one thing. But then if you take a lesson from that and you use that going forward, maybe it will keep you from buying 100 things that you will then have to discard sometime later. And that impact is much bigger. So instead of feeling guilty about it now, just try to learn from it and make better purchasing decisions in the future. And that will have a much bigger impact. And so there's no reason for you to feel guilty now. Number 3 is a really handy trick that I use all the time when it comes to collections of things, or just things that you own a lot of. So let's take a practical example. Let's say you have a ton of different bed linens, like so many different ones, and you really want to simplify that so that your linen closet becomes more simplified. Then one way to go about it is to collect all of your bed linens, collect them all in one space, and go through them one by one, deciding like which ones you want to keep and which ones not. But sometimes it can be kind of challenging because not really like one of them stands out in a positive or a negative way. So it's not easy to identify, oh yeah, this one I really don't want to keep, or yeah, this one I love, I definitely do want to keep. And so you're just kind of like, yeah, I have 12 different options. I don't really know which ones I want to keep, and then you just kind of stuff them back in the closet. So in this case, I would always recommend picking a number and letting that be your guide. So in the bed linen case, let's say, okay, for us it makes sense to have 6 different sets. That gives you then a starting point, and then you can just use that number and maybe like pick 6 of your all-time favorite ones. Like if you could only pick 6, which ones would that be? And that really forces you to choose your favorites and make it a lot easier to part with the rest, because maybe there's like nothing wrong with them specifically, but you just have too much or too many, and then you can donate the others. For example, I did this with home decor items. Back when my boyfriend and I moved out of our parents' homes and we moved in together, I went on a little decor buying spree and I bought so much decor items. And after a while, I just kind of got overwhelmed by it all, and I still liked each like individual item. So it was really hard for me to decide like, okay, this one yes, this one no. So I collected all of them and I told myself, okay, I'm allowed to have, I don't remember the number I picked, maybe I said like 12 or something. And that forces you to pick your 12 favorites. I put them all back in a new space so that they would kind of spark some kind of variety or interest, like, oh, I didn't see that item there before, and I really loved it. And then all of the ones that were left apparently are not my favorites, so I donated them. All right, number 4 is also a really helpful one, and it is about the maybe pile. It is also a little rule that I have for myself that the maybe pile is allowed, but I have to actually use those items for a while. So when you're decluttering, some people say that you cannot have a maybe pile because that's just postponing your decision, so it has to be either yes or no. And I personally disagree with that because I actually really love the maybe pile. And the reason for that is that it helps to speed along the process. Sometimes we're, in that huge mountain of stuff that we pulled out, and there's just one shirt or something, and we're just holding it in our hands and we're looking at it, and we're feeling kind of paralyzed because we don't know what to do. And before you know it, 30 minutes will have gone by and we will have not like gotten any decluttering done because we're still holding on to that one item. And this is where the maybe pile comes in, because every time we're just like, I really don't know what to do with this one. Okay, it goes on a maybe pile. Next. It really helps speed up the process because you're not getting stuck on individual items, and then you can deal with that maybe pile sometime later. But what often happens with the maybe pile, and that is the downside, is that it does postpone us taking decisions, and so we just don't really, and we put them back, and next time we declutter, we come across them again, we put them in the maybe pile again, and nothing ever really gets done about them. So that is where I really like to encourage you to try out the maybe items. So if it is a clothing item, wear it for a day, because I'm telling you, you will know by the end of that day if you want to keep it or not. Maybe you remember like, oh yeah, I never reached for this because it's super uncomfortable, or yeah, I don't really feel like myself in this. Or maybe you're like, oh, I can combine this with something new that I bought in the meantime that I hadn't considered yet, and now it looks great and I feel fabulous. Great, then keep it. Actually wearing the thing will tell you most likely what to do. And that goes for anything, whether it's a kitchen appliance. If you're on the fence about, I don't know, a stand mixer or something, like make a recipe with that stand mixer, see how you like using it, because that can really help you to make a decision about it. Number 5 is maybe the most important one, and that is to keep it small and manageable. It is so easy to bite off more than we can chew when it comes to decluttering, and I really feel that oftentimes we might have this like all or nothing mindset that can keep us from beginning in the first place. So maybe you want to declutter your entire garage and have it all like organized and simplified. That is great, and you should do that, but it is a huge project and you don't want to underestimate it. So you're like, yeah, I would like to declutter the garage one day, but it's such a big mess, like I would need at least a week off, you know, and you postpone it, you put it off. But the beauty is you don't have to do all or nothing. You can take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just pull out some things that you already know you don't want to keep, get rid of them. That's like 10 things less that you now own. And that is great. And if you do that again and again and again, you will also make a lot of progress. So you don't have to do it all at once. Maybe do one drawer in one cupboard or one shelf in one closet. Really break it down, make it small and manageable to keep that motivation and not make it overwhelming. And another really important one, if you're really not used to decluttering yet, I would suggest not only starting small, but starting easy. So somewhere where it's just a lot easier to make decisions. For me, that is the bathroom. I love decluttering the bathroom for some reason. It feels so satisfying. Just getting rid of expired products, things you never use anymore. Maybe you want to give them to someone else, you know? Kind of like start somewhere where it's not like super emotionally hard to make decisions. Just kind of, yeah, get the ball rolling, keep that momentum, and also build up the skill to then also later be able to deal with the more challenging areas in your home. And the last bit that I want to say in this category of tips is that while decluttering, keeping it small and manageable also means that you don't have to yet clean or organize. So cleaning and organizing definitely comes after decluttering. It's part of the whole like simplifying your home thing, and they are great, but you don't have to do them while you're decluttering, because that makes it a lot more time consuming and difficult and energy consuming as well. So just focus on the act of decluttering. And what is decluttering? Just getting rid of clutter, right? So the things that don't attribute to your happiness, to your well-being, getting rid of those things, that's decluttering. And you don't have to yet also immediately start cleaning and organizing. That comes after. Number 6 is a super helpful question that I ask myself all the time, and that really has helped me to make a lot of difficult decisions that I've never once come to regret, I might add. And that is to ask yourself, if someone spilled wine on this and it was ruined, would I care? Like, would I care enough to spend a lot of effort trying to get the wine stain out and to save the item? Or perhaps would you feel a little bit relieved because now, hey, the item is ruined, there's wine on it, like it's not my fault, I can get rid of it. That feeling says a lot. So sometimes with decluttering, I find that all the rational arguments are great, but sometimes they just don't hold up. There's something emotional there that is hard to define in words. It's just a feeling that we have about something, and that feeling is very difficult to find underneath all the, yeah, but it costs money, and yes, I might need it one day, and all the like the rational arguments. We still feel something about an item. And this question can help us to hone in on that feeling. It's kind of be like, how would I feel if this got ruined and, you know, it wasn't my fault? If you would feel sad, if you would try your best to get the wine stain out, whatever, like bring it to the dry cleaning or whatever, like spend money, spend time, spend effort to save it, then that is a really good indication that this item means something to you, and in that case I would recommend keeping it. But if you would feel like, oh, you know, it's ruined, not my fault, then that is a good indication that this could be something to get rid of. Tip number 7 is to give the items that you do decide to keep a permanent home as soon as possible. So this is to avoid something that they call clutter shuffling, which is where you're feeling super productive because you're holding a lot of items in your hands and you're moving them around and you feel like you're organizing and getting things to where they need to go, but it's not really like decluttering. You're basically just moving a lot of things around, and that can obviously really slow down your progress. So this is very helpful because let's say you have 8 pairs of scissors in your home and you want to declutter, you know, your scissors. So you collect them all. You're like, yeah, this one I use for this one I use for that, this one I don't really use, I can get rid of it. And you end up with 4, let's say 4 pairs of scissors. Then it's not done. You're not done yet. You want to also choose where you want to keep those 4 scissors in a place that makes sense. So a place where you actually use them most frequently, and then choose a permanent home for them. Like, this is where they belong. It's easy for these scissors to fit in that space. Like, it's not causing clutter, it's not unpractical in any way. Like, this is where it belongs. And that will prevent you from having to deal with that item again and again and again, because you already know next time, like, yeah, this is that pair of scissors, it makes sense, it lives here. You can let that just kind of stay. And another reason that this is super helpful is that it helps you to actually simplify, because sometimes you may want to keep 4 pairs of something, and then you realize, I don't actually have space for 4 teapots, let's say. And you find a home for them, and you're like, actually, it doesn't really fit. This teapot doesn't really fit here. It's going to have to be annoying to have to keep it there. And that can also motivate you to maybe not keep 4 teapots, but get rid of like 1 or 2 more because you already know, like, okay, I don't really have space for this. So it is just a really great motivation, and it already makes your home just a little bit more simplified in the process. Number 8 is a really good one also, and that is to just declutter as you go. And this also has to do with that all or nothing mindset that many people have, and that I myself fall into sometimes myself, where I'm like, let's say your wardrobe, like, that feels like such a huge project, because I would like to have a more like a capsule wardrobe, and have it make like perfect sense, and have all the things match each other, and have it be perfectly organized. And that feels like such a big thing where I don't know where to start, I don't know how to do it. So then, you just never really begin with decluttering your wardrobe. Whereas if you're wearing a blouse, let's say, and you're like really not feeling it, it's like, yeah, this one is done. I've worn it a lot, it's not in good condition anymore. Or maybe you're like, yeah, I don't feel good in this, it's not comfortable or doesn't fit, whatever it is. Then don't hang it back. Declutter it immediately. And if you get in the habit of doing that consistently, maybe even having a declutter box somewhere in your home where you can drop things easily, whenever you come across something that's like, yeah, actually you don't need this, I don't want this, doesn't bring me value, put it in the declutter pile, in the declutter box. And once it's full, you can decide what to do with it, sell, donate, all the things. So as soon as you realize you don't really want to keep something anymore, don't put it back, just declutter it immediately. Number 9 is another way to just make the harder things a little bit easier for yourself to decide. And that is that if you're coming across an item that you already know it has survived a decluttering round previously, and you were already on the fence about it then you have to make a decision about it this time. And especially if you haven't used it since and you were already on the fence about it then, chances are that this could be a really good candidate for the declutter pile. But at least you have to make a decision. So either you keep it and actually start using it, or now it is the time to finally say goodbye and declutter it. And here I would like to encourage you to keep in mind the famous saying, if it is not a heck yes, then it's a no. And I find that this doesn't always apply, but it applies most of the time. Because if you're already hesitant about something, and especially if you haven't really used it since the last time you were thinking about it, there's probably a good chance for that. Probably you don't need it, you don't like it, it doesn't work well, or something else is going on that makes you feel like it's not a heck yes. And if you keep it, like, you're allowed to, of course, it's your stuff, but most likely it's just going to be another one of those things that next time you do a decluttering round, you're again thinking about, and again and again. So you're coming across all of these things again and again. It makes it a lot more time consuming than it needs to be. So forcing yourself to make a decision about items that you have been on the fence about before is a great way to kind of cut that cycle and make it easier for yourself next time. And my last tip for today is something that I would always recommend you do at the end of a decluttering session. If you've decluttered something small like your wallet, or something big like a huge closet in your home, whatever it is, you now have a pile, small or big, of things that you want to get rid of. And here is where another one of those traps is, because a lot of people think like, okay, I'm done. I have this pile now, I've spent all this time and energy, and this is what I want to declutter, so I'm done. And then they leave that stuff in their home for a while, so it still causes clutter. And there's also the risk of you going back through that, you or someone else in your family, and getting things back out again. Like, that's a really real risk that many people do. So I would suggest to make sure that you're getting rid of these items, actually getting them out of your house as soon as possible. And one way to do that is to immediately, when you're decluttering, divide things up into categories: sell, donate, recycle, or trash if it's like really no other option. Maybe you can digitize certain papers. So make sure, like, not just, okay, this is something I want to get rid of, but then immediately also try to decide if this is something that you can sell or give away to someone or donate or whatever you want to do. Of course, try to be as responsible as you can, but the point is to immediately divide them up into categories, not make that another huge project that you have to dread. Like, one day I will deal with this huge declutter pile. Try to make it easy by already doing that while you're going through them. I am actually guilty of this myself when it comes to items that I really don't know what to do with. Like, for example, we have a new kitchen knife, little knife set for cooking, which I love, by the way. I'm very happy with it. But I now have an old kitchen knife set that is really low quality, that we replaced, and it was 11 years old. Like, I've used it up, trust me. But I don't really know what to do with it, because how do you discard knives, you know? And I looked it up online, couldn't really find it. So now I have this set of old kitchen knives in my clutter pile, which I really don't like. So I have to deal with that sometime. But once you kind of tuck something away and, you know, life gets busy and you want to do other things, I just haven't dealt with it yet. So try to learn from my mistakes and not fall into that trap. Try to deal with it as soon as possible. So I would love to hear your thoughts about these 10 suggestions in the comment section. If you have something that really helped for you to make the decluttering easier and faster, please share that in the comments with me and everyone else. I would love to read it. And in the end, you know, stuff is just stuff. That is 100% true. But if you just want to keep something just because it feels that way, that is fine too. So minimalism is not about, you know, having as few items as possible. It is about being very intentional and mindful about which things do add value for you and your life and which things don't, and trying to focus as much as you can on the things that do. So you are the only one in the end who could make that distinction for yourself, so never feel bad about making choices that feel right for you. I will be taking a little mini break. I will have 2 or 3 weeks off. I am so looking forward to it. I've been working very hard for a long time, and I feel just kind of, yeah, I'm ready to take a little break. So unfortunately, that means no uploads for about 3 weeks, something like that. I do have a video scheduled to go up on Patreon, and there are already, I think, like more than 110 videos up on there because I've been posting on Patreon a long time. So if in the meantime you want more content from me, then you can always join us on Patreon. And I will be back on YouTube feeling hopefully well rested and inspired to make more videos for you. I actually have quite a few really nice ideas. So as much as I am excited to take a little break, I'm also actually excited to return. I just need a little bit of time for some, you know, TLC. We're gonna do some fun things. It's gonna be a staycation, so no travel, just some little day trips here and there, and hopefully the weather will be nice. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Don't forget to check out Skillshare and get your free trial so you can try out their classes for free, link in the description box. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you all again later in September. Bye bye. So I've been building a house in The Sims 4 and I'm having so much fun with it, and I wanted to make a converted barn that like used to be a barn and now it's like a super like modern barn house. And I'm having so much fun with it, but I actually cannot stop thinking about my barn.